Hey, so today has been such a big movement in the market, especially for some of the space tech. We saw BBAI doing quite well. We're going to jump into it. Hopefully, you guys are having a great day here. Feel free to comment any ticker symbols down below. I hope you're having a good one here. We're going to jump right into it. So, a couple things to watch here. Um, we just saw that Redwire was up about 18% today. What a huge run for Redwire. And part of the reason why Redwire has seen so much growth is because of their earnings, but also because of their recent financials in the relation to their market cap, which we will go over here in just a moment. And we've been, following Redwire for quite some time now. We've actually been waiting for quite some time as well for the recovery to take place. And we have not yet been able to see it until today when we get the large surge in Redwire. How are you guys doing? Everybody doing well? Okay, so the first thing that we saw really come out with Redwire as of recently was that they were reporting better earnings, and we were expecting them to recover just based on the fact that they had some new contracts. And we did see that actually play out here pretty fast into 2026, obviously, as they make a big run here at the beginning of the year. So really good stuff for Redwire. Love to see it. How are you guys doing? Everyone doing well? Okay. So they've had some contract renewals, and we're going to jump into it. They've also had some recent growth in their market cap. So let's jump into it. I mean, obviously, they've had recent growth in their market cap here. Okay, just trying to get a grasp on some of the news after seeing everything come out today. It's just been super big day here. Okay, so first things first, you see Redwire, they started to continue this uptrend here. We had them, starting to reverse. There was a 3-stage reversal that had been going on since really October, and we saw them sell down from about 1185, continually this very consistent downtrend, despite having fairly good market cap growth, or not growth, but market cap to earnings analysis. And then we saw them consolidate for about a month or a couple weeks here until this new trend came into play. Then we saw them pull down to about $7 a share, and we were looking for a recovery up into about $8. But look at that big continuation of trend. So monster continuation of trend here for Redwire. And you see them surge about 18% today. They made a 27% run from that $5 price point, or $4.87 price point, now up to $9 a share. So congratulations to everyone holding Redwire. We've been covering it for a while. It's good to see that they had the run as AI defense spending has ramped up. And when it comes to some of the coverage today, I want to talk about BBAI, as we saw them surge today as well. They were up 7.6%. But there's three things we look at in the market or in the stock. Number one is going to be the market. Number two is going to be the analysis of the financials, news, fundamentals, the charts. And then number three, kind of what does the profit look like? What does the potential look like for this stock? And David, Happy New Year. What's going on, guys? Lewis, what's up? Hey, guys. Green Day, let's go. Dan and James looking at BBAI. I love that. Got some big gains. I love that. Cash secured put gains. I love that. All right, 2026. Let's go. All right, so as you could tell, Palantir, we had some projections going earlier. I was just on a call with an investor. We were looking at the projections for Palantir, still looking bullish into 2026. But let's take a look at Redwire, RDW here on the Prophecy app. We're going to go with Claude here, or should we go with Grok? Let's go with Claude. What do you guys use the most? Curious, what are your go-to AI models that you use the most for your analysis? What models do you like? ASMR says, hey, APLD, I love that. Let's go, man. So Claude is a really great model. It's pretty thoughtful. Gemini has been my go-to. I've been using Claude as well, Grok and OpenAI. When compared about how they do in trading, Gemini and Grok have been some of the higher performers here. Right now, currently, we have Claude pulled up. Let's see how it looks. Bullish on Redwire. Claude expects Redwire to surge into this next year of over 15% gain. Okay. So we're seeing 15% gain potential here. I see you guys are saying Gemini, ChatGPT, got it. Cool, cool. So we could use any of them here in the Prophecy app. And we have actually, if you guys ever don't want to get the, $300 subscription to Grok or the $249 pro subscription for Gemini, you can also get the Prophecy app. We use the latest models and best models from these companies. You get to use them in the Prophecy app, and it comes out to like a fraction of the price. In fact, you can lock in a 1-year access to the beta of this Prophecy app, and you don't even have to, like, it would be the equivalent of not even 1 month of running the pro models of all of these models. So for the whole year. So if you want to go grab that, you also get Stockmate, our daily live trading, Monday through Friday at market open, included when you get the Prophecy app. So go grab it if you want. I think it's the first link below. And yeah, we got the New Year's sale. And Prophecy is currently, you got that 1-year access, but it's going away soon. So it's going to be not as sweet of a deal because there's so many cool testimonials. I've been getting really good testimonials. We know it's working. Things are going great. And we have to adjust to, keep up with the scale of where we're trying to go. So really looking forward to it. Gemini. Okay. So when it comes to Redwire here, the nearest support level is at $9 a share, according to Claude. You got the nearest resistance levels here to watch out. Nearest resistance is going to be around 927. Projecting a little bit of a correction potentially into tomorrow, or this evening, excuse me. And then into tomorrow, maybe a slight correction, bullish into the next week though for Redwire. So overall, pretty bullish. And while that's exciting, I'm so excited about this. The reality is they still have, this smaller trend, Redwire, but they're also looking way bigger than just this smaller trend. In fact, if we just take a step back and kind of look at why we've been covering Redwire, we're actually anticipating this type of move. We've been looking at this move, 165% increase up into this $12 to $15 range. How many of you guys have heard us say that over the last few weeks? We said Redwire to $10 to $15. Anybody heard that? Even when it's down here around $4. Not to rub that in anybody's face or anything. I'm just saying that because you do see that come into fruition, which is good. It means that the market is reacting in the way that we would expect it to. And that's good because we did see some choppiness, as you guys know, back in October. And then we see some reversals, some good validations of the previous resistance as support, which oftentimes indicates bullish momentum. Anyway, we're looking at this $10 to $15 price point for Redwire. We already saw them make a 90% increase of that 160% that we were looking forward to, or 150%. They've already gone up about 90% from there. So really good to see that move today. 18% gain. Some of our members caught it over in Stockmates. Again, if you guys ever want to tune on in to those live sessions, we're there for our live trading this morning, and we just wrapped it up. And when we were trading, you can always see my entries and exits We also had some positions on BAIG today and TSSI. So before we get into Big Bear AI, how many of you guys are a holder of Redwire? And can you just comment if not? If you are not, that's okay. But can you comment if you are a holder of Redwire and just tell me, like, what is the reasoning behind that? I know they didn't have a lot of headlines up until recently, and they were moving because of the institutions that were buying in. But what I also see from you is that a lot of investors invest because of just the revenue alone. Like, put aside the programs, the NASA programs, the capital commitments that they have, or any real world deployments, and then look at them from a perspective of the financials, and that's where it gets interesting. You see, Redwire has been having a lot of growth because their market cap is just so low compared to where their financials indicate they should be. And let's take a look at what that looks like here. So as you can tell, looking at the financials, they're bringing in $100 million this last quarter. And annually, their revenue's up 50%. You could see that year over year, they've seen growth in revenue. The revenue has been creeping up, just increasing. And quarterly, they had that big growth. Net income was still negative, but their balance sheet increased to $1.45 billion. So what does that mean? Their assets have about $1.4 billion, and their total liabilities are at 411 or 413 million. So they have much more cash than everything else. So what does that mean? Their market cap at 1.4 billion, they have more revenue per year in cash or assets than their market cap. So that was indication, just looking at why they would surge, that it would make sense that they continue to grow just based on that. Now, secondly, when we get into, that's all good, but when we look at the projections for Redwire, now we get out of the technicals, you see that bullish momentum. They're now at a resistance there, potentially around $9 a share. And they kind of pulled back a little bit. But overall, the longer term projection, if they don't pull back down in here to $8, $7 a share, the longer term projection would be back up into this $10 to $15 range, which from current prices would still be around a 8 to 25% increase. Okay. And that's not accounting for if we see them get up into previous highs around $18 to $20. With their current financials, it would make sense that they were in that $11 to $15 range. And if they were to get to $15 from here, it'd be about a 65% increase, which would be pretty substantial. And again, that's why we've been following them, watching for this reversal, which we see play out more today. All right, so here's why people are buying Redwire. Someone says, I sold at $8.50, Luis, just a swing play. Nice. Okay, that's good. Declan says, I had an average of $4.80, then sold at $6.80, bought back earlier this week, and the market cap and balance sheet gave it away for me. Well, awesome. Hey, let's go. That's great, man. And then Wannabe Garden Eden says, I bought because you recommended Redwire. I don't recommend anything, but I'm glad that you bought because hopefully you got the insights you needed to make an educated decision confidently, knowing all the facts. All right, Big Bear AI came out with reducing their debt. Love that. All right, so Big Bear AI, let's take a look and jump into it. Big Bear AI has been down at this level around $5 a share. They've been bouncing that $5 support level. You could see that consolidation recently from left to right. This consolidation here. And as they've consolidated, they're still looking to continue their overall trend that they established throughout the year to get back up into this $9 to $10 range. Now, with this recent consolidation since early or late October, really, they were consolidating, meaning they were just moving from left to right. No gains, just finding a support level here around $5 a share, running up to $7 a share, just left to right, very consistently. And then we were looking for this 26% increase on Big Bear AI from this level up into these $7 ranges. But we saw them get up into $5.85 today, which was about a 7% gains or 8% gain from where we were kind of projecting them to go. Not yesterday, but the day before, which I guess was, New Year's Eve. The market had closed. So it was kind of an up-to-date analysis, actually, 2 days ago, that we're actually looking for them to get up into the $7 range. Now, it could not get up into the $7 range for a few reasons. But primarily, what you want to watch on a company like Big Bear, especially, is the volatility. When it makes its run up to $10, is so fast, so fast. And I see Michael says, still keeping my eyes on aerospace joint venture between EADSF, THLEF, and DRS. Interesting. I'll take a look there. Let me write that down real quick. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Holding Redwire due to its partnership with Big Bear AI, says Loneby. Interesting take. Yeah, they are partnered with Big Bear, which strengthens Redwire's role in defense-focused space infrastructure. The collaboration adds AI exposure to government contracts. Yep. Upside as U.S. space and defense spending grows, says Lone V. Space spending is going up. Defense spending is going up. The Redwire partnership with Big Bear is kind of similar to the Palantir partnership with Big Bear, which is Redwire is doing all the infrastructure, right? They have got NASA contracts, military contracts, but they build the infrastructure for space tech, and they have a lot of growth in the hardware side of things in space. And so they have satellites that have, vision down on Earth. And so that's why Big Bear partnered with them, is to have that surveillance. Okay. Why they partnered with Palantir is to use Palantir's software to optimize the hardware that they're deploying. So I'm not sure if the VeriScan technology from Big Bear AI runs on Palantir, but we do know that it's an AI facial recognition software that does the analysis of the person, where they're coming from, where they're going, where or who they're traveling with, what their patterns are, and it's real time, and it collects the data, allows people to go in and out of the US, but it's also like a very strong case for collecting a massive amount of data. And that's kind of why why we assume, at least, they've had more contracts. Now, the other thing that happened with Big Bear just in the last day or so is they finalized the $250 million acquisition of the company Ask Sage. So in their last earnings call, where they came in with those earnings that indicated they had flat revenue, but increased or decreased their margins on the net income, so that they actually came in with a positive net income and increased their cash to nearly $1 billion. They also announced that they were acquiring this company, Ask Sage, which is an AI-driven company that has partnerships with the United States government in multiple areas and departments and agencies for generative AI, for defense, intelligence, and other things. It's like, imagine you have Gemini, and rather than it just being the regular Gemini or the regular ChatGPT, you optimize it to have security in mind and be optimized for government moves. That's kind of what they did. It's exactly what we do, for example, at Prophecy App. It's like, we'll take the best models in the world uh, Grok, OpenAI, Claude, or Gemini, and then we give them all that extra information to optimize them for financial analysis. So all of the real-time data, all of the things they need to know if they're projecting the next hour, the next 4 hours, the next week, all the technicals that they otherwise wouldn't have, so that we can just get clear projections on where the AIs think the stock's going to go. And so those types of approaches oftentimes serve very well, at least they serve our investors well, and the users that use this company, our company that I've founded here, because it's basically optimizing what they would like to do with the big models, but then it's tailored to what they're trying to do with their specific specialization. So AI models are great. They're not tailored or haven't been tailored for me to get the best stock analysis because of all of the prompt engineering and then all the information that they otherwise don't have. And so then we took that, we prompt engineered it, we give them the information that they need in order to make an educated decision, and then we get the projections. And the same thing is true, okay, for this is why it's so exciting, because I actually, like, I feel so much alignment covering, for example, this Ask Sage partnership from Big Bear. Okay, and I'm going to pull up Big Bear here in the Prophecy app. Why not? And let's actually do Gemini. Because the alignment is because we're covering companies that are kind of doing what we're doing, but in a different industry, which is really cool. I love that. So it makes things exciting. And how many of you guys how many of you guys have been in a situation with Big Bear where you've like bought high and then seen one of these sharp decreases? Or maybe it's the opposite. You've been in a position with Big Bear where you've bought down on this support level, and then you've seen it reverse super fast. Some of you guys, how many of you guys have bought at a support level or a resistance level, and you either thought that it was going to continue to reverse at a support, or it was going to get rejected out of resistance, but it actually didn't validate that support where you bought and expected to reverse, but it actually continued down further. Anybody have that happen? Anyone? So if that's something that has happened to you, more likely than not, it's going to be that you're going to want to have, at least if it's a short-term trade, you're going to want to use something to have a plan when investing. Now you don't have to copy anybody to get good results. And you don't have to do anything crazy to to go get outlandish results. In fact, a lot of times it's just a consistency that will give you good results. How many of you guys would agree that it's not that you need to make one big trade to increase your portfolio size? It's just that you need to learn repeatable systems to make gains consistently. Now, if we can agree there, I want you to commit to that this year. And what that means is having a plan when you enter short-term trades. So I'm talking to the traders right now. The traders that are looking to buy and sell or do puts or options and get in and out fairly quickly for a profit. There's no problem with this. In fact, I don't believe in like you have to wait till you're 80 or 90 to make money or whatever, because I made 112% this last year on my portfolio. And it wasn't like we were just sitting back doing nothing, watching with patience for 10 years to get those returns. No, it was like we were in it. We're going through the conferences, we're getting the information, we're looking at quantum, we're looking at AI, we're looking at the the defense markets, you're looking at the nuclear markets, you're looking at the financials, the news, and you're making decisions, you're taking action so that you can just keep the momentum and continue to grow. So in order to do that well, you have to have a plan. It's like if you're going to start a business, for example, you want to have a plan, right? If you're going to go into even the long-term investors, I'm also a long-term investor. And a lot of these companies we trade short-term, we're already holding long-term. And when we trade when we hold long-term positions, we have a plan. And so in the short-term trades, I challenge you to have a plan this year. And I also want to do like a challenge. I've never done one of those like challenges. I've seen them online, but I'm still fairly new to it. It's been 1 year really since we started this YouTube channel with the investing and stuff. But like I want to do a challenge at some point. How many guys comment in the chat? Comment in the chat if you want to do a challenge of some point. We could call it like, it could be like the 10K trading challenge, or some of you guys are in the millions. I get that too. So maybe like the 112% trading challenge, something, you know, what would we call it? But how many of you guys would want to do a challenge like that? Let me know. Here's Michael. Michael says, keep hitting singles consistently and the home runs will happen. Swing for the fences and strike out more. Exactly. So what does a plan look like? All right. So you don't have to use this same plan. This is not required. This is my plan. It's actually super simple. And I just coded it up so that I can keep my same risk management for the every time. And you know what? I'll take a link here. Let me go get a link and I'll drop in a link for you and you can go grab this calculator. But basically how my calculator works here is all you got to do is you just like put in your purchase price. So let's say we just bought BBAI. Let's just say we bought it at $5, or let's be real. We bought it at $2.80 long term. Okay, well, no, let's pretend like we're just getting into a trade right now. 581. So let's just pretend, okay, that we bought it at $5.50 this morning when we were in our daily live trading session in StockMe. We bought it at $5.50. Let's just pretend, okay. Current price, it's at $5.80. And the number of shares, let's just say we got 1,000 shares. All right. Okay, so how I've set up the profit calculator, at least for how I like to use it, is I set it up to where it has my risk management proportional to my take profit. So I don't know if you guys could see. Let's zoom in a little bit here. Here we are. And so if I'm going for, let's say I'm going for, yeah, let's do 1,001 shares, let's say. There we are. Let's say I'm going for like 10%. Okay. So 10% profit. All right. If I'm going for 10% here, so expecting it to get up to the $6 price point, then I'm going to cut my losses here at a negative 2%. So now I have risk adjusted and I have the price at which I would cut losses and the price at which I would sell according to how I do my risk. Now, again, not everybody does risk to reward the same. When I do short-term trades, I have a very simple strategy. I'm buying a company that already hits the financials look good, the news look good, the chart looks good. So ideally it's at a support level. That's not always like key, but like it's in an uptrend, it's at a support level. The market that it's in is a growing market, but that it's financially growing, but there's also real world usage. It's not just financially getting hyped up, but you see the real world usage. And then that the entry point that I'm getting, the nearest support or where I would find something is going to be, where I would enter is going to be already at kind of the point at which it would feel depleted, where I would buy. So a lot of times I'll buy when things are kind of red, and I'll set my, stop down below that kind of level that it would be ultra depleted, in that fact that it would be breaking a pattern, let's say. And then I would enter and I have my risk adjusted profit. And then as I increase the amount I would be going for in profit, the risk tolerance increases as well. And then the final thing that I would do before I enter as well is I would just hopefully look for some catalysts as well, whether they're happening right now or something that you would anticipate is going to happen. And so when you do that and you kind of pair it with this profit calculator, it makes things a lot easier. So anyway, I coded up the profit calculator, and you can use it as much as you like. It works great on mobile, or not on mobile. It works great on desktop, and it does not work very well on mobile. But I'll send it over. Um, and I think it works if you view the page as a desktop. I don't know if you guys know how to do that. Sometimes it's a little finicky. But anyway, I just sent the link there. Again, it's like a software that I made, and it's totally free, and you can use it as much as you want, as long as you want. And again, I don't actually recommend that you do the exact same risk management as me, but I think just in principle for your short-term trading, to be able to see how risk is managed, this basically, while it looks simple, it's your entire plan. It's your percentage gain you're going for, it's your entry point or your exit point, and your stop loss, along with the percentage points associated and how much profit you would expect, if the trade would be hitting your profit, not necessarily going according to plan, because even if it goes to the stop loss, it's still going according to plan, right? Because you're sticking to it in a perfect world. And so one more thing as well. So with BigBearAI, we're looking for this recovery, this continuation, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, up into $6, $6.32. So that would be a 15% swing here. It is going to face some current levels of resistance, I think. Let me see. It looks to me like there's a level of support here around this 575. See this level of support here, support, resistance, some consolidation right here. That's kind of where it's at right now. Ideally, it holds above that 575 where it's at currently, 581, and can continue to validate that level as it has before, kind of like this. See how when it shot up last time, kind of validated this and then continued up. That's a perfect ideal here for bull case, so that it validates that 585, 575, continues up into that $6.30 range, 650 up here, about 11% gain from here. But really what I'm looking for is this move. It's about a 23% increase to $7 a share if it continues up. So that's what we got for Big Bear. Now, in that move, just to consider, like I just said, there's a resistance level here at 650. There's also maybe what seems to be about 575. Let me just fine tune. I'm going to look at the short term on Big Bear according to Gemini here. Okay, 562 support, resistance $6 or 596 on the next day. How is it looking? Yeah, $6. Okay, 596. All right. To $6 resistance, and then the support 550, 565, 565. Yeah, that's about where we're at right here. Maybe a little bit lower. Okay, so they're kind of looking at it this way. A little more conservative, you could say, which I'm fine with that. You can see that level. A little more conservative down to that 570 would be the support level to watch. Okay, that actually makes more sense. This is why I look at AI, because you could kind of look at it and say, oh yeah, it's right at its support and resistance. But if you look at it where it got up to just today, and this 10% gain up to 588, you could see that the nearest support is actually going to be around this EMA here, this blue line, which again is right there around that 570, which is where the AI is saying that's where the support is. And so holding above that EMA here, you might see a slight pullback, 2%, something like that. According to Prophecy, it is anticipating a little bit of a pullback here over the next hour or so. So interesting stuff. I love it. Okay, so what most people are getting hyped up about, everybody's like freaking out about BigBearAI. Everybody's saying it's going to be huge. Other people lose confidence because they have the potential dilution or what have you. The market will reward the values. It will reward you. The market will reward you with values that match the values that you give it. And so in the long term, I mean, if you're going to have patience, and you just were to, let's say, consistently add to this stock. Patience is what it's going to take. It's going to be a long term, right? You're going to be looking for this trend to continue up to that $10, $15 plus, and you're looking at a 70% to 80% gain. It's going to take patience. It's not going to happen all overnight. And then the same thing is true if you're going to be not patient here, because there's so much hype and you could be very emotional. It could be very easy to be emotional, especially on a day like today. You know, someone could buy into Big Bear today, very quickly get excited, and then tomorrow you see a slight correction like we're just talking about, just even a 2% or maybe a 3 to 5% sell down from this really nice green day that we had today. And then boom, someone's selling because, you know, they see a slight pullback in a greater trend. And so something to really consider, and this is, I wish I learned this earlier, because I had gotten into so many trades, just swing trades, longer term, even long-term trades, where I would be getting into these investments and I would enter at a level that seemed right. And it would continue down, or it would not go the direction that I expected it to go right away. And then I would be kind of in this position where I'm like forced to sell. I'd be like, all right, well, it's not doing what I thought, right? So I sell, and I remember this because I remember this vividly. I remember laying in my bed after school, and I was trading Nvidia. No. Was it Nvidia? No, it was a different stock. It was I think it was CRISPR. It's a therapeutic stock. Yes, that's right. And I see this perfect trend, perfect trend, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is perfect. I remember buying it and then waiting. And I get back, you know, after school or whatever, I had, you know, sports. And before I go off to practice, I used to play a lot of like football and or lacrosse or basketball, whatever it was. And I was sitting there, I was probably 16, 17 years old, and I was just still learning how to trade. And I remember I'm sitting there looking at my phone, and it continued to go down and broke out of the uptrend for a moment. And I'm thinking, wow, I thought I understood this, but I'm not reading it right. So I sell the stock. Not even, I swear, it was not 24 hours. It was 16 hours. It was 8 hours. Can you guess what happened? Of course you can guess what happened because you've been in this situation probably, right? It makes the entire move of the uptrend, like a 20% uptrend move, continuation from that support. It just broke that support I was in a little bit and continued to rally. Ever since that, because I did that a bunch of times, but ever since that, I thought, okay, so every time I'm doing something, like the bigger the payoff, the more patience I have to have. So if you're going for a bigger payoff, you have to have more patience. And so people don't have patience. It's been time and time again that people get shooken out of these stocks. Redwire, for example, nobody's liking Redwire a few weeks ago when they sell down to $5 a share. But their market cap, their financials look good. The patient are buying, and then boom, it's up to, you know, what is it at today? $9.03. And so the same thing will always be true. How many of you guys can think? I was just thinking a moment ago, because I was just talking with my wife, and I said, you know, I'm doing analysis. It's a great day. Portfolio is crushing it today. I don't know what our portfolio is doing. I can't see it, but it's double digits. It's double digits today in the green. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I can't even feel like doing this video. I'm like, I don't know why, like, I don't know why I'm doing this video. I don't know why. Like, why am I going to do this video? And she said, like, well, every time you stop, you always find that the results like come later. I'm like, you're right. It's like every time you stop, you always find the results come later. It's always just a little more patience. You just got to expand a little bit more. you gotta, every time, how many of you guys have had that moment in your life? It's like right when you stop and you kind of gave up or whatever, a few moments later, you saw the trajectory of where it was going and you're like, oh my gosh, wow, if I would have kept going with that. And then you get back in, but then you got to kind of rebuild all that momentum. Same thing is true in investing. Same thing is true. Got to keep the momentum, got to keep the trends going. If they break, be ready and have risk management in place so that you can go for those opportunities that are 5 times, 10 times bigger than where you're managing your risk. That's the key. All right. Sure, James says, I moved over 10K Wednesday's dip, BigBear.ai and SMR, maintaining reserves for mid-month catalyst, BBAI voting and government shutdown. Ooh. Yep. If we see a government shutdown, you know what that means. Probably going to see defense stocks dip, which would indicate good buying opportunities. Let's see how long this rally lasts. A lot of times it lasts for a while, and then you get those hard-hitting sell downs that are followed by some event like that. Could be tariffs, could be government shutdown, could be voting of some sort, or Federal Reserve interest rate announcements. It's always good. So the latest news, again, they finished the acquisition on BigBear.ai for BigBear.ai finished the acquisition of that company, Ask Sage. Gosh, can't talk. And then shortly after, they also announced that they were lowering their debt, which is great. Michael just outlined that as well. You don't have a lot of upside. I see what you're saying. You're seeing that potential sell down. There is risk at this moment. It's not all sunshines and rainbows because they're still below that moving average. So they're still targeting that $6 range to $7 range, but they have some resistance levels to break above around 6, which is about 20 cents higher than they're currently at. So we'll be watching there. The other stock I wanted to do some coverage on today. How many of you guys would like to see a quick analysis on APLD? APLD stock is up 15% today after a huge run in the data center markets. We had a TSSI trade we've been waiting to materialize there. It's up 8% today. That's good to see. APLD is up 15%. IREN is up 13%. BITF is up 12% today, with CoreWeave up another 11%. Wolf stock riding 11%. Multiple stocks in the double digits. So what's going on with APLD? Well, we see their overall uptrend while they've recovered about 20% here up into this $28 price point from where they were just at around $20 a share. Their next bullish target is actually up to $40 a share, believe it or not. And that sounds like huge, but these are huge opportunities. And they have risk, and they could take longer to take place. But they're huge opportunities for one reason, and one reason alone. It's like once these data centers are built, then the demand is met and the cash flow might stay, but you're not going to see more growth. Okay. You might even have other competition come in that actually deteriorate the effectiveness of data centers, which could spark some sort of recession in the area. And this is probably 5 years out, 10 years out, similar to empty malls, empty shopping centers around the world because consumers are deciding to order on the internet, order on Amazon. Same thing could be happening with data centers if, for example, 5-10 years from now, quantum computers become one of the companies or one of the things that makes it possible for computation on large scale. I mean, we already see it happening, actually. So data centers are having their golden hour. They're in their golden age, and AI is in the golden age right now. And these are opportunities that we've been able to catch over the last year. In fact, the stock was at $3 a share, and people are freaking out when they made it up to $15 a share. But when we were looking at the deals they were signing compared to where they could be, we still saw them as a $30 to $50 stock. Shortly after, they're $40 a share. They pulled back down. So what do you need to know? What are the questions on APLD? Markets continuing to grow. Data center market continues to get momentum. Financials still lagging a little bit. Revenues are growing, but not growing as much as you would expect from a data center company that already has those revenues. Contracts are very big. In fact, I think they've got millions of dollars or billions of dollars, $15 billion plus in contracts, but they haven't shown up on the balance sheet or on the financials. So it's taken some time. So when it comes down to APLD, do you see that resistance level around $30 a share to watch? They're approaching that right now. They got another 5%, 6% before they reach that level, but you do want to watch that level closely as a rejection point. They also are pretty overextended, overbought right now on the RSI MACD. And so if they do sell down, nearest support level is going to be actually right here around $26 a share, about a 6% potential sell down. And then if things were more bearish, let's say that you have a new tariff or something introduced in the next week or so, APLD possibly could sell back down to that support around $23 a share. Now that would be a very conservative outlook. In fact, a lot of times when they're making these runs and we see, the overall trend here as they just broke above this moving average, this SMA, a lot of times when that happens, you can see it here, they broke above, they continued a very consistent uptrend up to $35 a share, very consistent. You kind of in the larger trend identify this rising support level. See that through November into December. Okay, you see that rising resistance level right there. So that was a trend that went over for quite some time there. You see that there, and then it corrected back down. And we just saw them once again break above this SMA. So it's possible you see that trend develop. They might sell back down a little bit further here into that $26, $27 range, somewhere to here, but continue that overall trend with a similar trajectory. Something like this maybe could be that next level of the trend, something like that starting to develop. Now it's a very bullish trend, but that's kind of how it's played out when we've seen them make these runs from that $13 price point up to that $40 price point, or from that $7.50 price point up to that $14 price point. So that's when we'll be watching at market open. APLD is reporting their earnings. I think it's next week. Yep, on the 7th. We'll be watching closely. That's on our calendar for sure. And when it comes to the dip there on the semiconductor market, Michael, yeah, they had a huge recovery. I love it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Shaw says, do you think APLD will push up after earnings or sell down? I would anticipate that whatever the move they make around earnings won't be something that will most likely be where it's at a day after that. If it's a big surge, it might correct down, or it might just rocket after that. If it's a big dip, it might have a V-shaped recovery after that or continue down. I know that's like, oh, it could be anything. And I'm not someone that's like, it could be this or it could be this. No, I'm not saying that, but I am saying when you look at the earnings, there's a lot of factors. In fact, a lot could change between now and the 7th. I don't want to be boring about it, but like a Federal Reserve announcement could come out, or a change in the tariff landscape could come out, which would rocket the stock or could go down. Now, what I would expect is that they would come in with earnings that are going to surprise. We've seen them sign, if you just go to the investor outlook, they've got the cloud business, they've signed with CoreWeave, while other data center companies had trouble building the data centers because of a storm that was like 90 days long in Texas or something. And we're primarily, the main cause was that all of those data center constructions got delayed. APLD, on the other hand, was still building and not having any trouble. In fact, they were still building in North Dakota. They've got about 15 billion. There's a $5 billion service agreement, $5 billion AI infrastructure partnership there, $3 billion deal there. They extended that CoreWeave deal from 7 billion to 11 billion. So expected revenue is going to increase. As a result, you're most likely going to see the stock follow. Now, again, that's what I'm saying. Revenue might increase, but oftentimes what happens? Very shortly after the revenue increases, then what happens? The stock has really good earnings, and then it still sells off. So that's what you don't want to happen. That's what we're going to watch. So finally, just a quick risk to reward, right? We went through some of the analysis. Risk to reward on APLD. You're looking at the support levels here. You got to watch the technical, the fundamental analysis, and some of the projections here according to Gemini into the next week. Actually anticipating a little bit of a correction there into the next week. Next day, looking bullish still. Into the next 3 months, bullish. Into the next year here, bullish, as high as 22% gain on APLD, according to Gemini here, Gemini Ultra. Now, or Gemini 3, when using the Prophecy app. Now, guys, we're going to be watching to see these projections play out. We're also going to be in it. We're going to be investing in it. We're long-term on the stock. In the short term, we may look for some more trades as well on APLD. And we also trade APLX over there. We got a little trade running. It's up about 15% that we entered just a few weeks ago. And that one's doing well on APLX. They're up 31% today. So we saw some recoveries there from a small position there. We'll be following it throughout the next week. Guys, Happy New Year. If you want to stay up to date and you don't want your 2026 to have as much emotional attachment to your money or as much struggle with the execution of the plan, or just not picking the right stocks or not being able to find the stocks that you want to find, that you should be finding in the data center market, the quantum market, the AI market, the robotics market. If you're committed to doing better technical analysis, fundamental analysis, you can learn all those things and get access to our daily live trading sessions. They happen Monday through Friday, and we'll be there at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Monday. So if you'd like to tune in on Monday, it's going to be the second link in the description down below, and you get lifetime access. That is going away here in 2026, and then it might come back in a quarterly fashion every once in a while, but the lifetime access is going away. It will be a subscription, and you can get access, second link below, without this subscription before that goes away. On top of that, if you want to grab Prophecy app for the year, we still have the beta access open. You could use AI tools like Gemini, Grok, OpenAI, Claude, all in one from the best analysis frameworks in the world. And you could see all the analysis and projections on autopilot, wake up to deals in your portfolio using Prophecy. That's going to be the first link below. And when you grab access to the Prophecy app, you also get StockMate, the daily live trading I just told you. You get access to that for free as a bonus. You lock it in, the lifetime access. So go grab it if you'd like. Again, first link below for Prophecy, second link for StockMate. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.